What's good, everybody? Welcome to another fantastic episode of Interviews. I'm here with my man, Sheriff Lou Evangelitis. Welcome. Don't leave me hanging. It's so good to see you, brother. How's it been?
Same here.
How's it been? You won.
Good, yeah, real
Last
good.
time we saw each other, it was pre-election.
That's right.
And now we're post-election.
Yes, we
and
are.
you took that bad boy home.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking a little bit about it.
Yeah.
And how does it feel? You're reelected and you have another term that you're able to serve.
Oh, great. I'm very excited. I'm very appreciative of the folks in Worcester County. Let's be honest. The people put faith in you to do a job. I tried to live up to the promises we made.
Yeah.
We did run the campaign on a campaign platform that I'm frankly a lot of people don't do, and that is promises made, and I think we kept those promises.
Yeah.
And I told the voters we did things about reforming the jail, not taking campaign contributions, bringing in innovative programming, and really working every day to rehabilitate people and make our community a safer, better place. And I ran on that record, and we overwhelmingly won, and I'm honored to continue to serve. I'm excited for my third term.
That's so exciting. The third term threw me off.
I know, it's crazy.
I can't believe it's been your third term. How many years in each term?
6-year term. Sheriffs have the blessing of a 6-year term, which is very unusual. So, so I'm actually been in the job for 12 years. And honestly, Manny, I'll tell you, when I first ran for this position, I had no idea what the future would bring,
Yeah.
But I
Sure didn't expect me to be in there, huh?
No, I didn't know. I didn't know the love you were going to bring onto the scene here. But I can only tell you, I've loved the job probably more than I expected to. I've met some incredible people. I've surrounded myself with a great team at the jail. And I don't think there's a better job you can have in a community than being a sheriff, because the job is undefined. In other words, you can kind of make it what you want. You run the jail.
Yeah.
But you get yourself to integrate in the community if you choose to be a community sheriff. And I did promise I would be a community sheriff, not somebody sitting behind his desk every day. That's allowed me to go out and do things like we do, the coat drive, the food drives. We get into the community. We have rehabilitation centers all around the county. And every day I walk around, I run into folks who've been through our facility and will tell me when they come up to me, because the ones that aren't doing good avoid me.
Yeah.
But the ones that come up to me just tell me how much they appreciate some of the programs they had at the jail, how it helped turn their life around. And they're doing great. And that is that's the end of the day. That's what it all comes down to. Mm-hmm. And I bring that message back to the folks who work every day at the jail, that they don't get to see the ultimate success of our programming, but it's when you're out of the street and you see people come up to you and say, thank you for what you did. And a lot of people, I don't think, understand that part of the criminal justice system. They think it's a negative experience and it's harsh and we should minimize it. And look, I understand there are things we could do to improve that system, and that's what we've done. But the reality is, some people need to go to prison, need to be incarcerated, but it doesn't have to be a situation where you get nothing out of it. You can actually turn your life around while you're there if you got the right opportunities to have the right programming. And that's the key. Dedicated, professional staff, not a bunch of patronage hires that don't give a shit about people.
Right. And that's what it should be, right? Jail should be more of an opportunity for rehabilitation than actually just warehousing humans, right? That
warehousing doesn't. It sounded tough when you said throw the key away.
Yeah.
Problem was, it didn't work when
Right.
people got out. Now, look, there are people who are going for life. There are people who have committed some very violent offenses, and I don't want to give anybody the sense that, we coddle people. Hell no, we don't. But there's a lot of people, the majority, are coming in. They got a limited sentence, probably less than 2 years, and they're getting out.
Right.
And why don't we want to try to make that time with us productive in their lives? Right. Give them opportunities to turn their life around. Most people are in there for either substance abuse, misuse, which we know is rampant. Probably 80% of the people come into our facility have that. And you throw on top of that the co-occurring disorder of mental, health issues. That's pretty much the criminal justice system right there. If you could take those out, I think we could probably roll up the steps and have different uses for our correctional facilities. But unfortunately, that's a very big part of American society today. So we just got to try to use that time in a positive way. And Manny, I'll tell you, you can't, this is the frustrating part is, you can, the old phrase, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
Right.
We can bring program opportunities to inmates, and some will avail themselves and some won't. And I've learned the hard way that if you're not ready, you're not ready. You'll be disruptive. You won't help the others in the class. You want to bring everybody down. So you got to kind of wait and find those. I like the people who we assess people when they come in, and we find out their backgrounds, and we find out their education levels and their substance issues. And we also evaluate them with our social workers and our team. And we try to find those people who are ready for the programming we have. And if we get them in there, it can be a really amazing experience. And to see them graduate and to see them move forward in their lives and write to us, thanking us for how it transformed their lives. So, you're right. The idea is to use that time in a productive way that's transformational, not just punitive.
Right. I want to just take a few steps back. You were talking about the community, and that's one of the major things that I left with after our last interview together. Was a lot of feedback from the community, believe it or not. And I think it showed also in the election results too, as far as the Worcester, the city of Worcester community. And I think that's why this is so important that we're doing this, is to bring in an awareness and more information rather than the misinformation that a lot of people are more privy to. Let's be honest. As far as the election goes, and Worcester County, or Worcester, the city of Worcester, now this is just me and my own internal feelings, but based off of what I believe is honesty, is that people aren't really understanding who you are and what you do before whether or not you're a Republican or Democrat. You following where I'm going with this?
Absolutely.
So, me and you have a great rapport. I've asked you a lot of questions. I think a lot of people were concerned that I may not have been so, I hate to use the term hard on you, because, that's not how.
Did I ask because I had an R next to my name, you should have been harder, or just in general?
Well, and I guess there's a lot of feedback in the community, and I just want to bring this up, and all due respect to the community who have talked to me, because I want you guys to continue bringing me your feedback so that I can address it here on the show, is that, you're prepared to do this. You're prepared to talk to the media and make it look like, you're doing a great job, and, all the inmates are in love with you, and all hail Sheriff Lou, right?
Well, maybe not to that extreme, but yeah, I'm willing to talk about it.
There's maybe a lot of things that get left unsaid, or maybe that, the people who aren't Lou advocates or Sheriff Lou advocates, as far as ex-prisoners go, have a different story to tell. Now, I've reached out to everybody out there, and for every show that we do, please make sure that you let us know if you have any questions that you'd like us to ask our upcoming guests. We'd be happy to present them with. But in Worcester, you didn't fare so well in the election. How does that make you feel?
Well, I'll say this. First of all, it was the overall election results were extraordinary, especially on a night where Republicans, didn't fare as well in Massachusetts at all, terribly. I was running against a huge tide there, but also overall in the county, I think, I won like 56 out of 60 towns, and frankly did as well as, and did almost as well as any Republicans ever done in the city of Worcester. Yeah. So overall, I felt great about it. I guess I'd like to back up, Manny, and just tell you this, because it kind of the core essence of what we're talking about here, and that is, I'd like to think I could bring a different approach than maybe the average person, not only because I'm an elected official, but, I was a Democrat in my 20s. Mm-hmm. I was an independent in my 30s, became a Republican in my 40s. Part of my motivation for being a Republican was based on my geography. Mm-hmm. I lived in a state that was a one-party state. The powers in Beacon Hill, frankly, ignored what the voters wanted. Right. They asked for clean elections. They asked for a lot of things, tax rollbacks, and the legislature just thumbed their nose at them because they were one-party state. And as Aristotle said, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. I perceived a corrupt political state because it was one party. Mm-hmm. So I thought we need to have other voices. So I emigrated to the Republican Party at that time. I believe in the core principles of what I believe are the essence of the Republican Party is belief in the individual, opportunity, hard work, and giving people and loving the freedoms and the opportunities of this country. And we can do better. We have areas where that's not saying we're perfect by any means. But I don't believe in government programs solve a lot of problems. I think they keep people down. Mm-hmm. And I want to lift people up. And I think the programs in the party I'm part of have been able to establish what I think is a general format to do that. But like I said, I vote for anybody who is the right person for the job. And I find, unfortunately, especially in our polarized world today, a lot of people look at the ballot, see the letter, and that's probably 50% of the people without even knowing the candidate. And I know that Sheriff is not, even though I've given my heart and soul to be part of this community and have done so many things I'd like to say to integrate myself, whether it be at the jail or with my coat driver, food driver, toys, and anything I could do in my rehabilitation centers. But I understand the reality of the world we live in. So the only thing that was frustrating about that was I felt like that I give it a lot to the city of Worcester, and I was proud of the results we got. But I felt like, I just thought it was going to be maybe a clean sweep, which is not really realistic.
Right.
But I'm proud of the way the night went, really am. And I think it said volumes about the work we've done because in the end of the day, I'll give you an example. Two Republican sheriffs went down that night. I was like the only Republican contested race that won. It was
almost called for your opponent, actually.
No, that was like
no?
1%.
Wasn't that in the beginning of the night? Weren't they saying that? No? Am I tripping? Yeah? All right, maybe I misremembered things. I could have sworn there was a thing where we weren't sure. Anyway.
No, there was a couple of precincts that came in early, but the reality was I think at the end of the night it was about a 60-40 win. And let's be honest, in politics, you can't do better than that. So I'm nothing but super positive about the results. It's just when you give your heart and soul to something, you live in that bubble of world.
Or maybe it was just Worcester.
Yeah.
That we saw the Worcester results and then there was a thing where we're not sure if I don't know, whatever. Anyway, that just screams to the importance of this show. It's the reason why I brought all that up to begin with is because I really want my community to be actually informed, actually aware of who their elected officials are, what it is they're doing from the horse's mouth themselves, rather than really just going on a whim of what letters in front of their name, because I really think that had a lot to do with it. Because as far as I know, and as far as I am exposed to being around you in the community, you are everywhere. You are doing a lot for the community. From coat drives to we did the drive for Mimi and just so many other things, community events that you're at, and you get right in there with people, not just for photo ops. You're really just trying to be there the same way the rest of the community is, which I think is great. I think there needs to be more, a humanity feeling between our law enforcement and our everyday community, because there is that stigma there between the two. Mainly the Black and brown community against law enforcement, which I feel like you're trying to bridge that gap, or at least my experience has been watching you bridge that gap. So for that, I thank you. And I am glad that, you were able to secure another term. And with this upcoming term, with this upcoming term, you have a whole new set of challenges and I'm sure a new set of goals. What are your goals for criminal justice reform moving forward?
Well, the biggest goals we have, and a lot of it is that it took us 12 years to build what we've built, and we've added so many programs. We've brought in so many good employees. We've had to whittle away at some of our problematic employees and fire some and move some out, but we've worked real hard to put together a tremendous team, leaders of our education department, our substance abuse department, all the departments we have at the facility now, I believe are just reentry. They're all phenomenal. The corrections team is phenomenal. We've pretty much promoted everybody is in leadership now, and I feel like we've got a great thing going. So my biggest thing in my third term is to make sure that we don't go backwards, because in corrections, I'll tell you one thing, Manny, if you take your foot off the gas and you relax for 10 minutes, everything slides backwards. The decorum in the jails can get worse, the cells. You can start seeing programming get lax. You can start seeing things. So you got to keep the ball forward. You got to keep your foot on the pedal. We got a lot more work to do. We've made a major investment in mental health. We have a brand new area of the jail. We had an old building that was actually empty. So we turned it into a very, very brand new. It's a brand new facility. It's going to be all our substance treatment programming. And it's going to be 24 beds. It's going to be a beautiful new environment. It's like sort of like if you have like, what do they call those things? Like little modular units. Yep. We have about 24 of them set up. You're going to have these guys living there 24/7. They're going to be getting programming almost all hours of the day, and they're going to live together. And it's going to be an incentive to get into that program at the jail. We want people to want to get into that program.
Would you consider that a pilot program? Because I don't think 24 beds is enough. We had just got done saying a large part of your population in the jails are, let's be real, they're victims of drug use, drug abuse, however you want to term it. And 24, how many prisoners do you have right now?
Right now we're around 700. Before COVID, we were always about 1,000. So
that's not too bad. I mean, that's not too bad. I thought it was more than that. So 700 is a lot, but it's less than I thought it was. Still, 24 is just a fraction of that.
Well, I'll tell you this, Manny. I'll explain that to you because you're right. But the thing is this. Right now, we have a 36-bed facility, and I may be misspoken. It might be 30 that we have in the new facility.
Okay.
I just remember seeing the layout, and I was trying to count the bed space, but it might be 30. I always thought 36 was low, but what we found is these are long-term treatment programs. We have other short-term treatment programs in the facility. So
Okay.
if you're here 3 months or 4 months, you get in what we call the short stop program, substance treatment opportunity program, short stop.
Right.
These are for people that have 6 months left their sentence. It's kind of like a graduate school at the jail. We get people, you apply, you get screened, and you get your opportunity to go in. We've only been averaging about 25 people in that program the last few years since COVID. So at one point, I remember we had a waiting list for people trying to get in a 36-bed. But with our numbers down, a lot of people are not getting sent to prison today. A lot of people are getting released pre-trial. So our numbers have dwindled. And because of that, we think this is a good start. Now, I'm with you. If the needs are greater for that, but we started an individualized mental health treatment program. We invested millions in our mental health programming. It's outside group bring in, advocates come in. They offer mental health treatment programming. We have 14 clinicians right now. So everybody comes in, gets an individual assessment, individual treatment plan. This is the type of investment you have to do to kind of get a hold of the issues. And now what we're doing, I'll tell you, this is exciting stuff. I don't know if you saw this. I could talk a whole show about this, but we just opened up our regional reentry center in Worcester. It's on Main Street, big story in the Telegram. If you go down right where the old Commerce Bank building was, that's now the Worcester County Sheriff's Reentry Department. And in that office, we have multiple offices. We have a dozen or more staff. And in those offices, we do people who are sent out or leave the prison. They coordinate with someone who goes to visit them, a reentry specialist, meets them 30 days before, and then transitions them down there. Or if they're in Webster, we have a center in Webster or in Fitchburg. We also offer diversion programs with the courts, with the judges, with probation. That is a beehive of activity going on down there. That's an extraordinary rehabilitation center. And I made that center, it was a dream of mine. When I first ran, it was in a second story of a building across the street. Nobody knew it was there. Now it is right on Main Street, right in the corner. It's for the Worcester County community to avail themselves. You walk in there, you need help finding a job, you need help finding a treatment program, you need help with anything. Our staff is right there, ready to help you. And the addition we're doing to that now is we just hired a contract, literally, I think like this week, we're going to bring a mental health counselor part-time down there. So if people get released from incarceration and they say, you get out and you can't get a prescription or you're having trouble getting any kind of treatment or with a doctor, we're going to have somebody down there that you can stop in and get a chance to meet with. You'll know they're down there. And they're going to be available to you to help you with your treatment, help you with some guidance, and even with prescription medications. That's a pretty big step forward on the mental health front. So, and we're just getting started.
Yeah, and you're going to be adding to that program.
Oh yeah,
yeah. As you said, you just got to start. So I guess that was a
Yep.
redundant question. But one of the biggest feedback that I got, I'm glad that you have all these wonderful programs, and they're the ball's really rolling on. It sounds like you're trying to do, you're not just taking people and housing them, but you're actually taking people that are charged or
we have both pretrial and sentence people.
Yeah.
So we have both.
So, but giving them an out or giving them
opportunity,
a pathway to not return, right?
Absolutely.
But one of the biggest complaints I've heard was about the infrastructure. The main living infrastructure. Where are you? Where is the sheriff's department on that? Because I've heard of mold. I've heard of leaking windows. Cold, things like that.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm not trying to make excuses for you, but I never heard that jail was comfortable. No, that's not funny. I mean, I'm just saying, John, you know what I mean? You look at the movies and everything, and that's what you see. You see, leaky windows, rats running around. It's not supposed to be comfortable. You're not supposed to want to come back. At least that's just my take on it. What's your take on the infrastructure? What are you doing to make it, at the very least, safer for the inmates?
Right. Well, I'm going to answer. That's a great question. I'm glad you mentioned it because I'm going to say a couple of things on this. And I know we're ending this segment because I could talk for a while on it. But I'll just say, first of all, you're right. Like, jail's not supposed to be a country club. We don't make it so people want to come back. Right. It's a punitive environment, and we want to make sure that, people are there. They understand this is a restrictive environment. It's incarceration and all that. But on the flip side is, we're held accountable by the health department, health codes, the criminal justice system. We're audited regularly. So those ideas, we don't have all that. I mean, like if it was that bad, it wouldn't be permissible. Okay. Now, everything you said is true though about the conditions being what you've described as some mold and cold and all that. We have the oldest facility, I believe, in the Commonwealth right now. So another thing I want to point out is, look, I could come in here and tell you about all the inmate program we got, and you could have somebody come in here, left that jail yesterday, and come in and tell you it was the worst place they've ever seen it. And for them, it might have been that experience. I can't comment on that. I've heard people tell me to my face, and we have great discussions about it. And we do our best, but we don't make everybody happy. That's not our job. So I understand that. But the key on this is this, to understand. I've been working so hard since I've been there. My biggest frustration is, first of all, we have one of the lowest per inmate budgets in the Commonwealth. It's not because I'm a Republican or because I'm being punitive or any way. I inherited a jail, with all due respect to my predecessors. Nobody was looking to do anything innovative and interesting. And in fact, there was a lot of patronage. So when the legislature was funding innovative programming, we got left behind. Yeah. So when I came in, Middlesex County has the same amount of inmates I have. They have $20 more million. They have 27 full-time teachers. I have 7.5. They have 22 full-time substance treatment counselors. I've got 8. I mean, I can't work with the budget I've got, but I'm doing better than anybody else when it comes to bang for the buck. But the facility, John, that's the problem. Is this facility, has been, it's old. Goes back, the main jail goes back to 1973, and the new jail, the new part, the modulars were built in 1991 for 10 years, and we were supposed to get a brand new facility, and they did not authorize any further jail construction. So we're stuck with a facility where, frankly, it is so bad a couple of buildings were condemned and taken off site. I have done everything in my power. The Baker-Polito administration, I did this before I came on the show, they provided us $44 million, not in budgetary improvements, but in capital enhancements. We built a $25 million intake building, receiving building, medical. It's a medical building where we have where all our medical team, and we also provide safe keeps now for the local Worcester County Police Department. So if someone comes in for an overnight, instead of staying in a cell in some town that has no business holding them, they bring them to us. All right. But yes, absolutely, some of the allegations about the conditions are not being good. Frankly, I toured the jail a couple weeks ago, and there was no heat in one of the upper units. Awful. Yeah. We're working as hard as we can to get it fixed, and it takes a couple days because our building is so old and it's awful. I've asked the legislature to help me build a new facility, but look, they're not building a new $100 million jail right now. So we do our best, but we've gotten multiple, I said $44 million in improvements. We have a new warehouse building that's being built. And in that warehouse, we've got the plans to lay out all of our new classrooms, but we had to retrofit it with new bathrooms, with new code upgrades and all that. So yeah, I am stuck with an old facility. So the way I look at it is, you have a school, and the school can have the best teachers and can have and can bring the best compassion to the school every day, but you can't change the fact you got a school that's fallen down. Right. My attitude is the most important feature of anywhere is the people that are working at the facility. And I have control over that. And I'm so proud of those people that give their heart and soul every day to make this place better, to give inmates a chance to turn their life around. Because unlike most people in my business, man, this is the best part about being sheriff. Frankly, we're all in this thing together. You know what I mean? It's like, if we succeed, we all win. I mean, why wouldn't I want an inmate? Why would I ever want someone to leave our facility and not be better prepared to be successful when they get out? It's absurd. Like, why would I want to use the time to just punish them and keep them in a cell and make them think when they get out, don't ever do that again? Right. It doesn't work.
So it seems to me you're on the same page as the community, but they're looking at the wrong person for answers. Instead of looking at the sheriff to say, why is the infrastructure this way? We need to put more pressure on our legislature. With that, we will be right back. We got so many more questions and topics to cover. This is Interviews with Manny and my man, Lou Evangelitis. We'll be right back.